Welcome to the first chapter that looks at data and information. Once again, my name is Dr. Samuel Mokwele, and my consultation hours on your screen, which is between 12 p.m. on Monday, 12 noon, and 2 p.m. My email address is samuel.mokwele@beats.ac.za. All consultations will be in my office, that is CLM Building, Office 128. And you can also write to me an email so that we can schedule a Microsoft Teams meeting or for the consultation. So consultations could be in person at my office or on Microsoft Teams. So what's the objective or what's the intention of this chapter? At the end of us looking at this chapter, we should be able to differentiate data and information, and we should be able to also tell characteristics of valuable information. And so ideally, that's the aim of what this chapter looks at. So let's begin. Among the major decisions that you had to make was to register here at the University of the Witwatersrand. The question is, which degree and why? So part of these questions are answered by one of the three options. It could be based on your career choice, that you might want to be a business analyst, a systems analyst, an IT consultant, or even a cybersecurity analyst. Issues or areas that fit into information systems. So that's if career choice was the first option. The second option might be family influence, that you have a parent or a relative or a friend or a colleague who has done this degree before. And therefore, you join the institution and you join this degree because you were informed by that individual. The third option could be other reasons, such as this is a passion of yours. So since young age, you've always wanted to do this. Maybe even when you are in primary school, you wanted to join such a degree and to do it at a university like at Witwatersrand University. Or maybe you're also thinking of a high-paying job. So you decided that I need the prestige that the University of Witwatersrand offers, and therefore within it, I'm going for one of the top class degrees, which is information systems, and therefore you made that decision. To arrive at that decision, you needed to know the university that you'll be going, in this case, the University of Witwatersrand, among the list of universities, 26 plus universities in the country, and even outside the country. You needed to know which faculty you need to join and how you're going to apply. You also needed to know the different sources of information that will assist you in the process. For example, information about finances. How much will the degree cost? Where will you find things like the NSFAS, National Students Fund? Or where will you find any bursary? Or if your parents can afford, how much will it be? Such information was needed. You needed to know about accommodation. If you stay near the university, would you want to be staying at home? Would you want to be in res? If you're coming from far, can you get access to the nearest university residences, either on campus or off campus? If you won't be able to acquire opportunity in res, where else can you stay? So such information was vital. And also you needed to know how you move from campus to where you're staying, if you're off campus, your parents or your relatives. All of these were different sources of information and reasons why you needed that information. The information we used had certain characteristics, and we needed it because we knew it was going to be of value to assist us in arriving at the objective of studying at WITS. We also needed to store this information somewhere. So it could be that we've printed our documents, our matric certificate, we've printed academic results, we have birth certificate, all the necessary documents, our IDs or our passport, our visas, all the details that were needed, we have copies of them. So we might have had copies in the form of a document or a folder somewhere, or we might have them as soft copies on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. So there are multiple places that you could store this information. And that will apply to when we want to go to a store or to a mall. We also need this information because we don't want to find ourselves making a decision such as we find ourselves at the mall during peak hours. So the mall is busy, everyone is moving up and down, and in some cases, you just want that space when it's quiet. Not everyone is moving up and down. You don't go to a store and all you hear is next, and now you're thinking, but I haven't even finished packing my items. I haven't even collected my change and put it in my wallet or my handbag. But now somebody else has already been called, so I have the pressure of moving out of this still. You don't want to find yourself in such situation. And therefore, we needed different types of information. Now, in front of you, you are seeing multiple instant messaging and social media platforms. You have your TikTok, your Snapchat, your Twitter or X, your Instagram, your Pinterest, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and all of these are social media or social or instant messaging platforms that you're using. In these sites, we don't pay a cent, and we use them every day. In some cases, they even get us addicted. We spend 4 or 5 hours on them. Like, for example, now that we are new to university, we are probably chatting with our colleagues who have joined other universities to ask them how the universities are. We are scrolling in social medias to see pictures of those who are registering in other universities. And in some cases, even doing comparison to say, what are others gaining that I'm missing? Or what am I gaining that they're missing? So all of this, we're doing it for free. All we need is our data and our phone. Or in the case of when you invest to university, you're using the internet on campus, but you've already paid fees for it. So it's part of the fees that you're incurring. But you're not paying for the platform, right? So, however, these platforms have a number of ways of getting our data, and they're storing it. They use the data to determine which adverts we should be able to receive, well, let alone Temu and Shane that have come on board now. That's the data that we are sharing with these platforms is how we're paying for using these platforms. Hence the statement you're seeing in front of you, which says data is the new currency, or some will say it's the new gold or new oil. Ideally, is to drive the point home that data is the most expensive item on this planet. The more data you have, the more of the ability you have on making certain decisions. So when we talk of making decisions, you see some people in front of you, some of them you might recognize, some you might not. And these are 6 powerful individuals that are operating different organizations. These are CEOs or vice chancellors. Top left, you're starting with Patrice Motsepe, the CEO of Africa Rainbow Capital, and a number of other companies, including Mamelodi Sundowns. Next, you are seeing Adrian Gore, the CEO of Bidvest. To the bottom left, you have Shamil Joseph, who's the CEO of Vodacom, the 10th richest company by shares in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Imagine the level of power they have. Next to that, you're seeing Prof. Zablon Vilakazi, the Witwatersrand University Vice Chancellor. Apologies, I've skipped. Wanted to explain the other members. And then after that, we have 2 female members. The one on the left is Nompumelelo Zikalala, also known as Mpumi, who is the CEO of Kumba Oil, the 11th richest company in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And then to the far right, we have Mpumi Madisa, who was the CEO of Bidvest Group. Mpumi was the first Black female CEO of a top 40 company listed in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Now, I've mentioned Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which is a space for those who deal with investments, and it's a very crucial place when it comes to the economy of the nation. In some of the other courses, you will learn how it operates. Nevertheless, all these individuals need to make big decisions in the organizations. And to achieve that, they need information. The question becomes, what is information and what should it be characterized of? The reality is we live in an information economy where companies require information on business partners, competitors, customers, suppliers, employees, government entities, markets, and the list goes on. Some of it they share, some of it they acquire at their own will. So for us to understand data, we need to break it down. Data, which is Latin for the word datum, means something that is given. In this context, data does not make sense until we process it. So data in its raw state is not useful. We cannot make any decision based on data. However, should we get to a stage where we now convert that data into information, then we make money, then we make decisions. So information comes from the word inform and is used to mean providing details that lead us to arrive at a certain decision. Each new data affects the information we already have, and its value that is related to that data changes, and thus we are aware of the changes occurring. For example, you might have wanted to go and join another university, and then the matric results came. So maybe you wanted to join a university somewhere else, like those noisy neighbors next to us, or those ones by the mountain, and you received your matric results, and you have multiple A's, and therefore you decide, let me go and join the prestigious university, Witwatersrand. And here we are. The change in your matric results pushed you here instead of every other option you were thinking of. Let's move back to a few years ago. When COVID-19 was starting by December 2019, everyone thought it was just another disease that was in China, as it has been the case over the years about flu, swine flu, or any other flu in China around about December because it's their coldest months. But over time, that changed the status of the world. We moved into a pandemic, and the rest is now history. Thus, information that's not relevant now may become important in the future. Our job is to understand the information and make decisions based on how it will affect our company, our community, and our lives. Let's take an example of Checkers. Checkers, which is owned by the Shoprite group of companies, have multiple approaches to how they collect data. So you'll notice that I'm moving between the word data and information. As I say, data in its own form, in its raw fact, it doesn't make sense. It's just a bunch of things that are included. But once you make sense of it, you have information. Checkers, for example, is a competitor to a number of other companies. You have your Woolies, your Makro, your Shoprite, your Boxer, your Spar, your Edgars, your Pep, your Ackermans, your Foschini, and the list goes on. And probably someone is starting a new company now, including Bantu and a number of others. So they have competitors. And how do they make sure they acquire data? They use multiple ways. When you're doing your in-store purchases, they've given you a card. That card is for free. You keep it and you use it to get points or to get discounts. But in the process, by you doing that, they're getting your data. So let's assume you want to apply or you want to acquire a cell phone. You go and register and you get a new phone on credit. Checkers has your details. Given that the platform you've used is owned by Shoprite. The other way is when you're paying for items in store. So whether it's your loyalty card, your credit application, or your payments, all of these are different ways that Checkers collects information from you. So they use this data to decide How do they distribute their businesses? What type of products do they bring closer to you? And hence you receive those emails with a list of products in relation to what you've bought. When they have specials, they send you those emails or even text in some cases. The prices. And in some cases, when they see a number of people gravitating to a certain area, they open a store near them. So, for example, in the older days next to townships, neither Pick n Pay, nor Checkers, nor Boxers, nor most of these supermarkets didn't used to have stores in that area. But over time, when they learned that there is economy in the townships, they decided they are going to open stores near them. So now they are servicing areas that initially were not their clientele. And where did it all start? It all started with data. The data they had acquired assisted them in making decisions that allowed them to be efficient and find better ways of maximizing on sales and making profit. So you're seeing data. I'm saying you're seeing data meaning the example in front of you lists products, the amount of sales, and the cost of advertising. The only thing is that it doesn't tell us what is the product. So we might know how much something costs or how much it has costed to advertise it, but we don't know what's the product. And therefore, it could be a bottle of water, it could be Nike sneakers, it could also be a tablet. And lastly, it could be a laser projector. So until we know the name of the product, the data is useless. And therefore, it's not what can assist us in making decisions. However, if we move to what we have in front of us, what we have is a graph. And that graph is saying a lot of things. It's telling us on the left the number of employees, and below we have the number of years. So for example, we can say, if I can navigate to the in 2014 as the year, if I compare Pick n Pay and ShopRite, ShopRite had employed more people than Pick n Pay. This is what the information is telling me. And over the years, ShopRite has been employing more people than Pick n Pay has. And so you're capable of seeing the ability of information in comparison to data. Mind you, ShopRite is inclusive of Checkers and a number of other companies. Meanwhile, Pick n Pay is inclusive of Boxer and a number of other stores or entities that operate within them. So several items or several terms that have been used to justify the importance of information. For example, we have a statement that the right information should be shared to the right person, assuming this person is a decision maker or can influence the decision maker at the right time. And we have a good example of what's happening in some of the countries, like our noisy neighbors somewhere who are now saying land appropriation, and the list goes on. So we have such situations occurring. Hence the statement, no data is bad data, because in some cases, what is bad data to you, someone can use it to their advantage. So for us to understand these valuable information, how to characterize valuable information, several key issues have been brought up. For example, we need to know that the data we have is, or the information for that we have, is accurate. In this case, the number of pass mark for the university, when you're applying for once you're about to finish your matric, when you apply to WITS, you also looked at what is the minimum number they're taking, what marks do I need? So you endeavor to make sure you get higher than those marks. The university, on the other hand, also needs your matric results to ensure that they're registering the student who has completed matric, and therefore they have complete and relevant information. Information such as which campus you'll be based and what subjects to register for your degree are relevant for you to consider while you're about to complete your degree. And the timely completion of your degree. So if it's a 3-year degree, you finish it within 3 years. worst case scenario 4 years. Such information is crucial and will allow you to benefit from knowing what the market by then needs. So surveys that are being done to identify the different types of degrees and even the skills that are required, you will be able to address them. So you can look at what are the companies requiring, what skills do they require, what um, subjects do they need me to study, and you can cover those subjects to make sure that you meet their need when the time comes upon your graduation, that you're able to join companies that are within what you're happy to achieve. Now that we've arrived at the conclusion of our data versus information chapter, I urge you to read the information PDF file. This is shared on Ulwazi, and it says data and information is a PDF file. You'll find it under modules, block 1, week 1. I also recommend you read the multiple dimensions of information quality. And these relate to the information quality we just discussed, the timely, relevant, accurate. Those are explained in that relevant document. So thank you, and have a wonderful day. Please remember, for this week, we don't have any workshop and we don't have any tutorial. I will see you in the next videos next week. Thank you.